I'm Steven. Thanks for checking out Life as We Know It today. Throwback Thursday. We are, June 8th? Cruising through June, almost Father's Day. And we'll talk a little movies today. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I'm at Steven Lewis on air on TikTok as well. And I come to you conflicted today. I meant to do this yesterday, but went and saw Justin McKinney. And a very funny comedian. If you're not sure who he is, check him out on YouTube. Good stuff. And by the time I got home last night, it's kind of late, so I didn't get into the blog world. But that's what we do: radio, music, and talking about pop culture, movies, and whatnot. So my confliction comes from Transformers: Rise of the Beasts. I got a love-hate relationship with the Transformers franchise. Growing up as a kid, very familiar with the Transformers, and then of course they went away for a while, and then they came back in 2007 with Michael Bay's Transformers, and I wasn't sure. You were making Bumblebee a Camaro, you were making some sweeping changes with Transformers. Optimus Prime was blue with flames, and it was different, but I loved the 2007 first Transformers. I thought it was fun. I had a good time. It took me back to my childhood, and I dug it. Rise of the Fallen, the second one, could have done without, but Dark of the Moon is still my favorite of the Transformers franchise, and I know a lot of people hate that one, but I like it. Then you brought Mark Wahlberg into the fray for 2, which were both too long, and the story kind of got convoluted, so they rebooted it a couple of years ago with Bumblebee, which I really liked a lot. First of all, they did a better job with the design of the robots. I thought you could actually see the robots, and that played into the personality. And Bumblebee, for better or worse, had heart. Haley Steinfeld was cast well, and the overall story of Bumblebee was small in nature, but it was really fun and enjoyable to watch. They took it back to the 80s, and it served as a prequel to the Michael Bay Transformers films, and this is technically a direct sequel to that, although Bumblebee is not really in the movie for all that much. This one takes place in the 90s, so you do get a kind of a okay 90s soundtrack, and it's kind of weird. You have a different version of Optimus Prime, who is kind of a Richard a little bit at times. And by the way, if you haven't seen this yet, spoilers, because I'll tell you why I decided to spoil it towards the end. I understand why this movie is tracking not to do well, and it's a shame because I do like the look of it. You get a story that takes place in the 90s, and it's still set before the Bay Transformers. So I kind of feel like with Bumblebee, they should have just rebooted it and started over, but they're kind of beholden to what is coming ahead of time. So you're not going to get Megatron, because at this point in Michael Bay's storyline, he's still buried underground in Arizona. And then you get some of the Autobots, but you see Bumblebee back for a minute, but then you get a different cast of Autobots, and then you get a new villain. And they borrow a lot from the 1986 animated Transformers, the movie, which ironically, if you watch that now, takes place in 2005. But it's constantly... That movie had its issues because, well, it was a toy company that wanted to make new toys, so they killed off all of your favorite Transformers to introduce a new line of toys, which most young kids at the time were traumatized because they watched Optimus Prime, the life literally seep out of his body and die on screen, and, well, no parent was prepared for that in the mid-'80s, so... But they do borrow a lot of stuff from this. Some of the characters, like Unicron, is brought back. You get a different version of Scourge, who actually showed up in that animated movie, this time voiced by Tyrion Lannister himself, Peter Dinklage. I like the voice cast. It's actually a pretty good voice cast overall. Ron Perlman is Optimus Primal, and what this movie kind of does is combine the original 84 Transformers with the Beast Wars Transformers, which was one of the first computer-generated cartoons of the mid to late 90s, which is where the Maximals come in, and they were basically Transformers that transformed into animals instead of vehicles. But ironically, not set in prehistoric times. Actually, in the future, they came after Optimus Prime, which is kind of weird and hard to understand. And then you get the Terracons, which is a whole different race of bad guys. So there's no Decepticons in this, and it's a different human cast, which for me, the human cast didn't work. It needed John Cena. It needed something. It just... They are basically on a quest to stop a key from opening the portal so they can bring Unicron through. And Unicron's been used a couple of different times in the movies. And for the last Michael Bay Transformers, Unicron is actually Earth. In the movie before that, opening a key to a different part of the universe to bring a planet through was kind of what happened in Dark of the Moon with the pillars. But basically, Optimus Prime tries to stop these guys, and they want to use the key to get back to Cybertron, and the humans involved want to use the key to save their planet, and then you have the Terracons who want to be able to bring Unicron in and let him dominate the universe. So you get this big battle that ensues, and it's just it plays out kind of like you'd expect. The look of the build of the bots, like I said, is kind of cool. The action is kind of fun, but it's very predictable and it's very cheesy. And I did not like Pete Davidson as Mirage. He was annoying after about 10 minutes. And I did not like the lead character. I didn't like Noah, who is the lead character. He did not hold up to Shia LaBeouf or Haley Steinfeld, for that matter. And it just kind of that, I got lost because I didn't like that. Storyline's not so bad. Ron Perlman's okay, although he doesn't have a ton of stuff to do. Some of the other voice cast is all right, but it's kind of the same thing. The robots battling other robots, which is fine. It's a good popcorn movie. It's fun. But my question with this is, I don't know who the audience it's targeting is, because a lot of it is geared towards little kids, especially the cheesiness and whatnot. But they carry some lines out of the 1986 animated Transformers movie, like "No matter the cost," which, you know, plays into the older demographic who might be excited about Transformers. And then just a lot of the stuff, there's no like sense of danger because nobody stays dead. Bumblebee dies 20 minutes into the movie and is revived at the end, and you knew as soon as what was going on how he was going to be revived, and sure enough, that's how it played out. And there was no sense of fear or no sense of, oh my God, they're never going to be able to overcome this. And it just, you know, that part didn't play for me. And I can't figure out who the audience is, because if you're targeting kids, man, you're in for a rough weekend, because Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is out there still, and it is making boatloads of money. You've got, if you're targeting the adult superhero audience, Guardians of the Galaxy, a lot of fun. Fast X is still out there. So I'm not sure where they're going with the overall franchise, and it's a shame because I think there was potential there, but I think they should have rebooted and started from scratch. And then at the end, there's a reference to G.I. Joe, and they're going to kind of merge the two and finally get a Transformers G.I. Joe crossover, which could be interesting for 80s, 90s kids and might bring some appeal to theaters. But it all depends. G.I. Joe has a very bad taste in its mouth from the Channing Tatum days. The first movie was just absolute garbage. The second one with The Rock was marginally a little better, but it was still, you know, not what anybody wanted to see from a G.I. Joe movie, although that movie did get a little more right than the first movie did. And then you had the Snake Eyes reboot that came out during the pandemic, which was just nothing against Henry Golding, just god awful. I wanted to like Snake Eyes so bad, and it just wasn't fun. So I don't know what they're going to do with G.I. Joe or how they're going to merge these worlds together, but that looks like the direction that they're going in, unless, of course, this movie fails to make money, which is a very big possibility this weekend because of some of the other things that I said that are already in theaters. So that's my thoughts on Transformers. Sorry I spoiled some of it for you. There were some things that I did like. It's always cool to see Optimus Prime voiced by Peter Cullen on the big screen, and a lot of the like Transformers stuff that they do was kind of cool. But like I said, if you watch the 86 animated movie, they borrow a lot from that. They borrow a lot from Beast Wars, and it's just, for me, it was just okay. So we will leave it at that. Enjoy the rest of your Throwback Thursday, whatever you're doing. Give me the like, follow Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Steven on the Air. Subscribe to the channel if you're interested in doing such things like that. And once in a while, I'll try to say something mind-blowing and make it worth your time. Until then, time is what it's all about, so don't waste yours. Go spend time with people you like, love, or tolerate, because time is definitely limited, so get out of here.